2025, Patrice Motsepe saw his fortune jump to roughly $3.2 billion, and by September, his net worth was estimated at $3.4 billion. By that same year, he was re-elected to lead African football, unopposed. Some say black economic empowerment rules handed him success. Some whisper about family ties in Pretoria's corridors of power. Others call him an intelligent man who turned neglect into profit with strategy and relentless execution. Today, we are going to show you everything you need to know on exactly how he was able to become a billionaire.
My father used to wake us up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and we would get onto in a truck and go and buy fruits and vegetables from the market in Pretoria.
This is where it started. Not in a boardroom, not in a school of kings, in a grocery, a tavern, a place where profit was learned at the age of 8. By the time he was a teenager, Patrice Motsepe had learned 3 things that would shape his life: how to listen to a customer, how to reinvest a profit, and how to see value where others saw nothing. Decades later, Forbes would put his net worth in the billion, but the road from that dawn-lit counter to global boardrooms was carved out of grit, choices, and a stubborn refusal to accept easy answers. Now let me take you back to the counter where he learned business and the exact lessons that shaped every deal he later made. Patrice was born into an entrepreneurial home. His father, Augustine, started small, a grocery, then a tavern, then a liquor distribution business affiliated with South African breweries. The tavern became a hub for miners, men who came in tired, muddy, hungry for a drink and a story. Patrice's earliest classroom was that counter. He woke before dawn. His father would wake him. Come, help me, sweep, serve, count. He watched his father pour every little profit back into the business. That habit, investing earnings instead of spending them, sank into him like a seed. There's a tiny moment he often points to. A customer demanding Coca-Cola when a glass of Pepsi sat right there. Patrice learned then what many entrepreneurs forget. Follow the customer, not your assumptions. But Patrice didn't want a life behind a counter. The hours were long, the work relentless. He told himself he'd find a way out, a career that would lift him beyond the shop lights and the midnight inventory checks. Medicine tempted him until he saw blood and realized it wasn't his calling. Law did call. He left home to study. He earned a Bachelor of Arts, then an LLB in Johannesburg. In 1988, he joined Bowman Gilfillan, one of South Africa's top corporate law firms, specializing in mining and business law. He rose. In 1993, he became the firm's first black partner. But law wasn't just a profession for him, it was a window. He handled mining cases and began collecting books on mines. He read engineering reports at night. He spent time in the United States in 1991 as a visiting attorney, and every book, every report, every conversation fed a growing obsession. Why did some mines make money and others fail? In 1994, restless and hungry, Patrice walked away from the security of a partnership and started his own company, Future Mining. He didn't start with billions or fancy offices. For 9 months, he worked out of a briefcase. Miners called him the suitcase man. With a small smile, Future Mining did the dirty, essential work, sweeping coal dust off blasted rock faces, doing the small site services that the big companies outsource. Then Anglo American offered him a contract. That was his foot in the door. While the big miners chased high-grade returns, Patrice saw a different opportunity. The giants were closing low-producing shafts as the economics turned against them. To them, those shafts were liabilities. To Patrice, they were broken machines of possibility, assets that a lean operator, one who rewired incentives and changed management practices, could make profitable. Then came the deal that looked mad to almost everyone. In 1997, Anglo agreed to sell him low-producing shafts for $8.2 million, under terms that minimized his upfront cash. Newspapers called it folly. Union leaders worried. Some even feared embarrassment if a black entrepreneur failed. Headlines mocked him. Patrice Motsepe buys dead dogs.
We bought mines that were old, that were unprofitable, that were marginal, and that other people could not make money from.
Imagine the pressure. Imagine being the man everyone bets against. That's where his childhood, the long hours, the thrift, the habit of reinvesting, met a moment that demanded more than courage. It demanded a plan. Now, before we go any deeper, if this story has already pulled you in, if you can feel that risk, that moment when everyone calls you crazy, hit subscribe right now, because this channel is where stories like this live. Stories of Africans who turned rejection into legacy. Back to the story. He rewired the economics of the operation. He cut management layers. He reduced base pay. A bitter move, but tied the rest to company performance. Bonuses were no longer a luxury. They were the key. When the mine did poorly, everyone felt it. When it did well, everyone shared in the upside. He moved the headquarters closer to the mines because proximity matters. You can't run a mine from a distant office. He hired engineers who knew how the work actually got done. He pushed for more working days, transforming a sleepy operation into a machine that produced steadily. Within a year, those dead shafts were profitable. Within 3 years, he'd repaid the $8.2 million. That success was the seed of African rainbow minerals. Patrice moved from servicing the mining industry to owning part of it. He formed strategic partnerships, brought local communities into the equation by allocating stakes to nearby nonprofit organizations, and diversified gold, platinum, manganese, nickel, chrome, coal. He did not put all his eggs in one pit. In 2002, EAO arm listed on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. The company's growth matched a global moment. Commodities were on the rise. Commodities boomed in the 2000s. ARM's share price surged. In 2007, the stock roughly doubled. The value he'd built in the messy years, in the briefcase, in the early mines, multiplied. By 2008, Patrice Motsepe joined the very small, very exclusive club of billionaires. In 2003, he bought a major stake in a popular soccer club. By 2004, he owned it outright. Mamelodi Sundowns wasn't just a team to him. It was a playbook in community investment and professionalism. He invested in systems, in talent, and in the pride of a community. That same approach echoed in his businesses. Professionalize, scale, and give back. Of course, success invites questions. Some said black economic empowerment rules had handed him success. Others whispered about political connections and family ties to powerful figures in Pretoria. Those claims gained traction because they are easy to say and hard to disprove. Patrice's answer has been pragmatic. Much of his foundational work and the critical deals came before certain laws were codified. And the more telling rebuttal is not in words, but in timelines. Studying, risking, and making marginal assets profitable. Money didn't make him small. In private letters and public commitments, Patrice has insisted that giving back is not a footnote. It's part of what his family taught him. He signed the Giving Pledge, promising to donate at least half his wealth across his lifetime. He points to a simple lesson from his parents. Business comes with duty. So what are the practical lessons? First, study your industry until patterns become obvious. Second, look for overlooked niches, places where the giants can't or won't compete. Third, align incentives. Make workers partners in profitability, not just employees on a wage. Fourth, reinvest profits. Don't cash out early. And finally, perseverance. He's been candid about failures, mistakes he learned from, and how those lessons mattered more than praise. Forward-looking today, his name sits on lists and in philanthropies. Like, subscribe, and share if this inspired you. And remember, sometimes the richest opportunities are the ones the giants threw away.